What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing a power ranking for week number 5, right? So actually this is before week number 5 and after week number 4. So we're going to base it off again, their performances from week 1 through 4. So some of these teams improved, some teams kind of fell off. So we'll see where they're at, right? So we'll talk about number 8 first. I think number 8, based on what I see, at least based on performance-wise, right, in the previous weeks, I'm gonna have to give it to Omega. It's just Twisted Minds and AP.Bren. They stepped up just a little. Yes, they're still losing, but they're stepping up just a little bit more than Omega. It's like a very, very small advantage that Twisted Mind. Okay, I'll talk more about Twisted Minds and AP.Bren later. But for Smart Omega, they need to figure something out. Either, I don't know, like their current lineup is not working. I definitely think they need a better XP. That's one. I still think Chaknu's better than Yoshi. That's 2. They definitely need a little bit more discipline and more understanding of the macros in the game. So that's 3. But yeah, there's a lot to improve on, honestly, with this team. But those are like the main ones, I'd say. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna bring people up from their MDL team. It's up to them. But yeah, until like I knew as soon as I saw the the announcement for Ryota and ONIC Indo, I knew it was a big L. It was definitely a big L when they lost Ryota, because he's like one of the more veteran. Like he's a veteran, right? He's been in the MPL for a very long time. And he was a key factor to that specific team from Omega last season. So, yeah, losing him was kind of a big deal. So, next one, I think we have... this one's a hard one, actually. This one's like a 50-50. It's interchangeable. It's between Twisted Minds and AP.Bren. I would probably say, yeah, Twisted Minds is currently at the bottom right now. Alright, so let's just do this. I'd probably say Twisted Minds 7, alright? They have a very unorthodox draft that people... Well, if you do your research, you'll probably figure something out, right? To where their draft is going. There are teams where they ban the Alice in the first phase, which I don't think it's needed, because you could definitely counter the Alice pick in the first phase if you're assuming that it's going to be picked. But then if you don't want to think about it and just say, oh, I don't want to deal with the Alice, right? Then just ban it. There's a lot of ways to counter Alice, by the way, and it's really hard to draft even when it's open. So that's why I think people shouldn't. It's not worth banning, in my opinion. You just need to be ready and just assume that it's coming, right? And just build your team comp off that. That's at least how I do it. But then again, there's a lot of different coaching styles, so yeah. I guess since their specialty is it's a respect ban, pretty much. Okay, for the next one we have AP.Bren. They are stepping up just a little bit. I guess they're starting to gain like confidence in themselves. Their drafting is pretty normal, like pretty meta, right? Jawhead Suyu mostly. You give James Punks the assassin, Joy or Suyu or Nolan or something like that, or give him the Fanny, and then they'll do pretty decent. I still think they're lacking in firepower instead of like in terms of aggressiveness with their roamer and their mid laner. But their gold laner and their jungler are still good. Like I said before the season even started, like James is like MPL ready probably, and Shizu is also MPL ready. But the other 3 kind of theirs kind of decent. But I think the 2 players that need the most work is their mid laner and their roamer, because it's definitely it's a very big deal if your trio mid wins. And trio, when I say trio mid, that's the jungle, mid laner, and the roamer. When those guys can rotate around the map and macro around the map the way you want them to be, you could pretty much control the tempo of the game. It's very, very important, right? Very, very important. So with them having not a lot of firepower in that department, I think they're still gonna be 6. All right, it's like I said, this could be interchangeable. Like Twisted Minds could be 6. AP.Bren could be 7. I mean, Twisted Minds has the Lason factor with the Alice picks, with the really utility picks that not a lot of people or not a lot of teams are used to. So maybe that's why. Like for example, TLPH got kind of off guard when Aurora ended up picking Estes Boxer, right? And it was, even though we've seen the Ube strat before, it was nothing new. Like, they get culture shocked again because the players have not seen it for a very long time. And then at that point, they don't know what to do anymore since they haven't seen that specific composition in such a long time. Right? So if you guys watch my analysis on TLPH versus Aurora, the Estes Boxer game, you would see Sanford, like, instead of split pushing, he's joining team fights where he's not supposed to. Like, Estes is super, super good on team fights. Like, the more you stay together, that's why it's an Ube strat, right? Ultimate bonding experience, which is like staying together, picking up team fights. But in terms of split pushing, they don't have any split push. Ube does not have any split push, right? It depends how you draft Ube, but in terms of Blacklist Ube has a split push with Edward, right? Getting 2 lanes. But anyways, it's a different, it should be another video of that. So the next one, TNC. All right, TNC stepping up. They almost beat TLPH. I would say they're the dark horse of the tournament, but they're kind of inconsistent, and I think they still need to work a lot on their decision making and macros, mainly on, all right, I might get bashers for this, mainly on Yahweh. A lot of mistakes from Yahweh. That's the double-edged sword that you have with Yahweh. He's a good playmaker, yes, no doubt about it. Good playmaker. The bad thing is, there's something that Yahweh needs to learn, is the timing of when he needs to make a play. Right? It's not every single time you see someone out of position, you try to make a highlight play. It's hard to explain. You just have to see, like, the way he plays, in my perspective at least. Like, there are some plays that he forces to try as soon as he sees, like, for example, he's at the bear bush, he sees 4 enemies going towards him, but he sees like a specific target that he wants to kick, like for example a gold laner. He's still gonna go for it even though there's 4 people like right next to each other, kind of close to each other's vicinity. It's like risky stuff at the wrong timing. And then at the same time, like for example, the Lord is about to be up, and then if you mess up the play, then you're kind of screwed, right? I mean, I'm not telling him to not make a play. It's just that, like, for example, if they're ahead, right? If they're super ahead, like 4K, 5K gold lead, there's no reason for you to make, like, a play or to keep looking for a play, because the enemies will go for you. They will try to make a play, and they will fuck up. Oh, shit. Demonetized. But, like, they will mess up. They will mess up. So, as soon as they mess up, that's when Yaoi comes in and then make a play. You know, it's all about timing. It's not about, okay, can you make a play? Like, I don't care how good you are with mechanics. Right? In my perspective as a coach, there are timings where you need to learn the timings on when you want to make a play. The correct timings. And that's what makes a great team from just a decent team. Right? It's just going to give you a step above. You realize I'm telling this like a former M4 champion, by the way. Right? And this might be the reason why he probably got switched or benched. That's probably the reason why. There's an X factor. There's an X factor with Yahweh, and his teammates need to execute it with him as well. If he's aggressive, his teammates need to be aggressive as well. It cannot be Yahweh aggressive alone, right? And that's why M4 Echo wants so much, because people don't know how to deal with Yahweh's aggressiveness, right? But actually, to beat TNC, you just need to wait for Yahweh to mess up, and then you win the game. Either Lord JM or Yahweh mess up, and then you pretty much win the game. Because they don't know the timings, or they don't know when to engage correctly in the correct timing. Okay, so next one we have, I would say, ONIC. The world champions are not looking good right now, but like, yes, they've been winning recently, but like they're not looking at their best form. You know what I mean? They've been winning, but it's not as convincing as before, where they're like, okay, we're against this team 2-0. You know what I mean? It's not the same as before. It's not the same ONIC, but hopefully they're fixing things out. It looks like they fixed their draft. They know to prioritize King Kong. They know to prioritize Super Prince, right? And not to not give them losing matchups as well. So that's one good thing that I see ONIC PH kind of adjusted. The only bad part is, I think For ONIC, they might be struggling with either fatigue since they've had so much like tournaments from previously, but like for me, it's still not a reasonable excuse. I wouldn't say it's an excuse. I mean, I'm just assuming, right? I'm just assuming. I'm not saying they're doing this. If it's fatigue, like AP.Bren has had, if you see AP.Bren's run before on 2024, I believe, they had no rest and they were winning every single thing. So at this point, where ONIC only won M5 and SPS, I think Snapdragon, right? And then the China thing, and then, you know, AP.Bren had like 5 or 6 different tournaments, even with the national team as well. So I don't think it's like an excuse for them to do bad at this point. I think for fatigue to kick in, for it to be more reasonable, I think there'll be like 2 or 3 more tournaments. Then fatigue kicks in. But at this point, I think they just need to reset mentally as a team. None of the players need to be complacent, or none of the players should have a big ego. So if someone's like making a mistake, own up to it right away. It looks like their draft is fine from what I see, at least. So I think it's just player execution at this point. So let's see how they bounce back on the second half of the MPLPH season 15. All right. So for number 3, I think it's gonna be Falcons. It's the previous M5 lineup. The macro is still good, still the same. They're like a decent team at this point. They're not like the top of the top, the contender team. They still know their macros. I think it's just the lack of maybe like slight mispositioning sometimes, slight decision making, wrong decision making sometimes. But other than that, I mean, they're still pretty good. Falcons is still pretty good. I'll put them on number 3. Okay, so for number 2, we're gonna have TLPH. Obviously, like in this previous week, Aurora beat them, right? I forgot what the score was. I think it was 2-1. Yeah, it was 2-1. Aurora beat them. I actually predicted that TLPH was gonna beat Aurora. But for that game number 2, I think it was game number 2. Yeah, actually TLPH should have won game number 2. It was supposed to be a 2-0. Then Aurora got the momentum by winning game number 2, and then ended up putting out the surprise pick with the Estes Baksha, right, on game number 3, and then Aurora ended up winning. So anyways, yeah, it looks like Aurora is staying consistent, and a big part of that is, I think, if you think about it, a lot of Renegade's heroes, if you think about it, Renegade's heroes are mainly like a support type. He's not the main playmaker of the team. I see him barely playing Cho, right? Because when you play Cho, like Yaoi does, let's just give an example, right? When you play Cho, it's like a double-edged sword, because if you do mess up your combo or your kick, then you're kind of screwed for the rest of the team fight. So I think Aurora is like giving Renegade, knowing Renegade and Yaoi have like the same mentality. They came from the same like previous org, next play, right? Same mentality, same play style, I'd say. They're both aggressive. But Aurora or Master Basics giving Renegade like a more support role with Matildas, the Estes, Gatots, Hylos. Like you could do nothing. Like it's very hard to do something wrong with those types of heroes, right? So if you give Renegade something like that, it's a lot easier to execute, right? The Jawheads, it's a little bit easier than Cho, I'd say. Jawhead is a little bit easier mechanically than Cho, but you could still mess up with Jawhead, definitely. But hopefully that made sense, right? Giving Renegade at least, I'm not saying Renegade is bad in mechanics. It's just that he's just prone to mistakes whenever he has these high mechanically mechanically intensive heroes that needs to be like Cho, for example. But anyways, yeah, Team Liquid, they're still good. I think they're still like, it's still like a 50-50. To be honest, they should have won that series, but again, we gotta give credit where it's due. So Aurora ended up winning that series, so they're gonna get the top 1 for this power ranking for this week. For week number 5, this could still change within the next few weeks. So we'll see. Comment down below if you guys have your own power rankings. I would be very interested on what you guys think. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel before you leave. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.